Gladiator was released in 2000 and it was seen as the movie that brought back the sword and sandals genre that was a favorite choice for epic filmmaking in the 50s and 60s. It was also seen as a return to form for its director Ridley Scott and the rise of Russell Crowe as a bona fide Hollywood star when the film became a box office hit and went on to win 5 Oscars, including Best Picture of its year. Crowe stars as General Maximus Decimus Meridius during the height of the Roman Empire, expanding its borders across much of Europe to become one of the most powerful empires the world has ever known. After a battle against the Germanic barbarians, the Emperor Marcus Aurelius, played by Richard Harris, confided to Maximus that he wished to return his power as Caesar back to the people and the Senate, to return it into a republic, and wished for the reluctant general to achieve that. However, his son Commodus, played by Joaquin Phoenix, kills Marcus for the throne and has Maximus and his family sentenced to death when Maximus refused allegiance to the new emperor. Having escaping death and losing his home and family, he becomes a slave and is trained as a gladiator where he must fight to survive long enough to exact his revenge on the insane emperor who is ruining the great empire through his selfish need to win favor from the people. I have an interesting history with this film. The first time I watched it, I was in high school just a couple years after its release when my dad started letting me watch R-rated films. After hearing all of the kids in school and how much they loved this film and they found it pretty awesome, I was very let down by it. Years later, after I graduated and went into the military service, I went on a movie watching binge and decided to give it a second chance. I bought the DVD box set that had the extended version of the film, and after I watched it, I fell in love with it, so much so that I thought it as one of my favorite movies ever. Then, more years later, when I went into college for cinema studies and having seen more diverse films like more foreign and independent movies, I watched it for the third time. While I still enjoyed it and even admire it, I did find it to be kinda cheesy with the simple story and acting. Now, after watching it for the 4th time, I think I have come to a more solid conclusion about my feelings for this movie. To start off, the look of the film still holds strong today, even comparatively against the high spectacle films made today that just makes it look absolutely fantastic. The way they just seamlessly blend practical set decorations with CGI to bring the long-gone ancient empire to the big screen made it feel as if the film crew just went back through time to ancient Rome and filmed it there. Everything about it feels so realistic. With the costumes, the set, the locations, everything rings authenticity with each and every scene that makes it look awesome. My favorite shot in the whole film is when Maximus and his fellow gladiators enter the Roman Colosseum for the first time and the camera gives us a 360 panoramic shot to give us a sense of how huge the arena was at its prime. I just love how everything just comes together so perfectly to give a great movie moment and giving us a glimpse of the power of an empire 2,000 years ago. This story definitely took a lot of artistic license with its history as they have many of its characters, especially with Maximus and his love interest Lucilla, played by Connie Nielsen, be strong, likable, and relatable people for the audience to make a connection with while making Commodus as evil as they could. The whole talk of liberty, justice, and having the people govern themselves definitely would have a strong connection with an American audience, and while I could not help but roll my eyes at some of its simplicity, it is not something that would take me out of the movie. It is a fantasy and a historical film that every Hollywood movie is guilty of since the beginning of cinema, and I'm not going to hold it against it unless it actually leads to harming something. The gladiator scenes are few in between, making up maybe about 15 minutes worth in a near 3-hour film, which I gotta say is rather disappointing and maybe why I didn't like it the first time. It wants to focus more on the politics that is in conjunction to the gladiatorial games, something that I found not intriguing enough for me to care about. But I will say that these highlights of the movie are brutal and bloody, and they are well shot and edited to give us some exciting set pieces, and they have made me wince a couple of times by some of the deaths. I just wish that it was more focused on what the title promised. As a film, especially of one that won the Oscar for Best Picture, I can say that it is a strong movie, but after watching it 4 times already in a near 15-year period while developing my taste in movies in between each viewing, I have to say that I've pretty much grown away from it. It also stems from the feeling of it being rather childish in its storytelling. What I mean is that the story itself feels like something that a 10-year-old boy would have thought up in his own little imagination. The stoic hero who went up against the evil emperor while fighting in the gladiatorial games, and the people of Rome going to his side while he dies a heroic death. What elevated it just a bit is that the hero only wants one thing, to join his family in the afterlife. While that might have given him some depth as a person, it wasn't enough for me to actually care much about it. The one solid thing that I think makes this film worth the watch for inspiring filmmakers is the use of its CGI when it matters and how it enhances the viewing experience. That part alone is what pure movie magic is that I've come to admire the most when it comes to films like this that took the care and effort to make them as real looking as this film has done. Other than that, it is a fine film and I can't say that I do like it while still feel a little disappointed in it. However, I can't help but feel that there is a small part of me that do love it for what it is, because it is a film that I don't mind seeing again.